In this video, I want to go over what an HRA is and how it could really benefit your company. My name is Don Z, and I'm a health insurance broker in Southern California looking for creative ways to save small businesses a buck and really improve their benefits in a meaningful way. So an HRA is probably something that you've heard of or something you might have never heard of, but your insurance is just becoming way too expensive and you need a creative way to save some money. So what exactly is an HRA? An HRA is an employer-funded health benefit reimbursement program that reimburses employees for eligible expenses. Who funds it? It's all employer money. So what that means is if the money is not used, it doesn't go anywhere, the employer is able to keep it. The employees do not contribute this throughout the year. Okay. It is a tax-free reimbursement for those employees. So they're not paying taxes on the money that the employer is able to reimburse them. They can do copays, deductibles, prescriptions, dental, vision, whatever you would like in there. You are going to be setting up the rules. There is no IRS limits, but you as the employer are able to set caps and really program what you want the benefits to be. So you're essentially playing the insurance carrier throughout this item. There is an optional rollover. Some employers will say, hey, if you don't use anything this year, maybe next year you could get double it or an additional half towards your total. But that's really up to you. As I said earlier, there's really no kind of limit to how you want to design it as a employer. Common use, you will tie it into high deductible health plans. There are stuff, ICHRAs and QSEHRAs. We're not going to go into this in video. We're just going to talk about kind of the traditional HRAs, but there are different types that you need to be aware of that all have their different purposes. So this really does give you some tax savings. It gives you cost control, and it lets you have some flexibility. So let's use an example here. So this is a company in California. They've got 18 employees, and they're coming off an extremely rich health plan. They've got the platinum level Anthem PPO, kind of the best of the best that you can get for PPO insurances with Anthem Blue Cross. And they have the best of the best Kaiser that you can buy. So how does this work? Right now, they've got an out-of-pocket maximum for the individual of $3,800. On this bronze level HSA plan, high deductible plan, they've got a $7,400 out-of-pocket maximum. So worst case scenario, employee accrues $1 million of medical bills. On this platinum plan, they pay $3,800. And on this bronze plan, they pay $7,400. Okay. A note is there's no deductible on this platinum plan. So they're getting all the first dollar expenses paid immediately. Whereas on this bronze plan, there's a $6,000 deductible, which is included in this out-of-pocket, but the first dollar expenses are just not being covered for this employee. This particular employer, we're going to take to the extreme. We're going to say they're paying 100% of the cost for this employee. So this would be the premium for these employees with said dates of birth across in Southern California. And then this would be the cost for the bronze level plan. Okay. Over here in this column, you're going to see the difference annually for these employees. So this single employee who's currently 36 would save about $3,000 buying down to the bronze. This employee would save $14,000 because they've got themselves, a spouse, and 2 dependents, and so on and so forth. It's a pretty even spread on ages and individuals, but there's a little bit of a heavier dependent load on this group. The annual savings for dropping down to the bronze would be $163,000 in savings. That's an average of $9,067 per person. So what this HRA allows this employer to do is they can say, all right, we're going to take some of this savings and we're going to give it back to the employee. So since there's an average savings of $9,000 and the deductible is $6,000, what this employer can do is they're going to say, we're going to give the first $6,000 via an HRA, a health reimbursement arrangement, back to these employees. So how does this work on paper? On paper is these employees have the first $6,000 covered in full. The next $1,400 they're paying at a 45% split with the insurance carrier, and then everything is covered at 100%. Whereas if they were on this platinum plan, the employee would be out of pocket $3,800. So with this health reimbursement arrangement, if the employee uses the full $6,000 that's being reimbursed to them, they are only spending $1,400 more. The employer is saving a net of $3,000 for the year, and it's a win-win for everybody. An important note is 18 employees. I would be willing to wager that I would bet my life savings that not all 18 of these employees are going to be hitting this $6,000 deductible, let alone the $7,500. So by giving these employees that first $6,000, chances are only one or two of your entire staff are going to be experiencing any out of pocket whatsoever to their medical expense this entire year in this situation. Kaiser, same thing. Little bit of a different price discrepancy here between it, but it's still an annual savings of $8,000 per person. And if you do the same thing and give almost that full deductible for the employee, which matches their out of pocket, this employee wouldn't be out $1, and the employer would still be saving in the worst case scenario. And that is just a creative way to use the HRA for a PPO and an HMO in the Southern California region. These rate differences is going to hold true just about for the entire state of California. Hope that makes sense and you can get as creative as you want in saving money.